Hello and welcome back to OverThought Gaming. Today I'm at Road Atlanta doing some more stuff with the FailRace guys. In a couple of the races we had a few weeks ago of the best of the community. Not quite the full roster, but you know, at least 8 of us who know what we were doing along with, well actually 8 of us total. Including Alex and Husky from FailRace. Anyways, I am driving a TVR Cigaris and it tried to kill me most of the race. It is loose, fast, and overpowered. And light. Light being key. But anyways, has no arrow, has enough power to make me crazy. And we will see what happens. But yes, I went up against many people, had a good race. Well, not many people, who am I kidding? But had a good race with a bunch of guys, and managed not to get killed by a Cigaris. Or TVR in general, which seems to normally happen. Anyways, here I'll let this cycle through for a moment to get the last image or two of the preview and look at the funky paint job this car has. And we're off. Slowly. I wouldn't say slowly, but the Porsche gets a heck of a launch out of the hole as I also get a pretty good launch and try and dart around a Dodge Charger. But into the first corner, it is a 250 Testarossa Dodge Charger, myself a Porsche, Firebird of some era, an Alfa Romeo, GTA, a Maserati of some type, followed by another Maserati of some type. I will apologize, I don't know the Maseratis that well. I swear I know the one with the big one, but I can't really remember for the life of me right now. But through the S's, it's not much has changed. I've fallen back a couple positions, just taking it easy on the first lap. Don't see the point of trying to get myself killed in the first lap, or the first couple turns. That seems too mean to me. As we head down towards the double right. I managed to go somewhat around the outside of an Alpha of both Maseratis. Though I back off here as one goes wide and I shoot the gap between them. Which, that looked bigger on the replay than it really felt. But anyways, I shoot past both of them and take my straight line dominance down the road. And try and catch up to the back of the Alpha. As we come down towards the top of the hill, I have actually made a pretty good gap and caught up to the rest of them. Hard on the brakes. I'm actually really trying not to cook this car too hard. It is a big bad TVR and I don't want to go shooting off into the sand. I don't need to make sandcastles. We're playing it. Into the first corner and I'm going slightly sideways. Managed to get away with nicking the curb a little, but I do not like touching that curb on this track. That outside curb is evil. Anyways, into the first corner, the Testarossa has pulled the lead. It is followed by the muscle cars, the Porsche, the Alpha, and myself. As we continue around the top of the corner, at the top of the hill, basically. Not much has changed. Charger's got a lead on the Firebird. Alpha's got the edge on the Porsche. And I'm just trying to weasel my way through the corners, because this thing was still very unhappy at this point. As you can tell by that little bit of counterlock I had to do, as we tried doing avoidance technique and get more of a cluster out of it than anything, and the Porsche drops back behind me in the Alpha. To meet up with Husky, so Alex and Husky start battling. And I have an argument with, an Alpha. This is going to go well. Two very lightweight cars with a lot of power. One not so aerodynamic, one aerodynamic. As I drive out the track, because at this point someone actually was trying to talk to me in person. Bad idea, I'm racing. But as we head down towards the crest of the hill, down towards the bus stop, I managed to actually pull him back just a little bit. Not a whole lot, but just enough to really catch up to him and at least be a threat. I go defensive on the brakes because I know I'm no match for the brakes on the Maserati or the Porsche. As we come through, I get a little sideways and try and power out of it, though the Maserati does have the traction. He gets a good run out of the corner. And we try and go too wide, though I managed to just outspeed him as both Maseratis and Porsche get a little sideways. The bigger the Maserati's coming out, the better. And into the first corner, I'm still trying to chase down that Alpha. Both Maseratis have gone past the Porsche as one goes wide. And at the top of the hill, we have some fun! As you can tell as I roll past, we had a roll! The Alpha rolled it, as most rest of us drove past. Anyways, from my point of view, this was what I saw. Come around the corner, he nicks the corner, I nick the corner, he goes sliding off all sideways, and I'm going, well, that's great. And back to him tumbling. That was a great tumble. The fact he went on his wheels even better, because then he could follow up behind us and get back in the race. Though he would be down a pit stop, because that was fairly damaging. Back up front, and the Firebird Charger have caught the Testarossa. As we come around the first of the right-handers to the back straight, it's pretty tight. Ferrari takes a little more curb. Charger gets a good run, though has to dodge the Firebird. Firebird actually gets the best out of that because it doesn't get a screw up and gets the front. Though that will be short-lived. As you can tell, the Testarossa is just maddeningly quick in the straight line. Don't know what's in that thing, but I know it weighs nothing and probably has a lot of horsepower. That's all I know. But as you can tell, the Charger backs off a little bit as the Firebird and the Testarossa go into the bus stop. And a little bit of a bump, but nothing major. The Firebird? I don't want to say Ferrari. There's too many Fs right next to each other. Gets a little sideways, bump each other again. Firebird still comes out on top as they all go into the corner as the, well, last corner with the Testarossa coming off force and nicking a wall. But that was up front. As we come up the hill after the first corner, Firebird still doing good. Definitely had a little bit more straight line speed, and with that little bit of a bump between the Testarossa and the Charger, has a bit of a gap along all of them. Further back, we are arguing over 4th place. Not just maybe, we are arguing. It's the Maserati Huskies driving myself and Alex in his Porsche trying to argue over 4th place as we get this little freight train going. And we all go sideways. I don't know how he did that. We all managed to go sideways at the same time on the corner. A little bit of lag. But Alex is right on me with with his Porsche. I managed to come out of that okay as Husky clips the curve and goes a little sideways as we both slide past him. As we come around to the 90s, I still have the line. Him and Alex are right behind each other, and it's just race clean and get the drive. We all get a good launch out of there, but I actually managed to start pulling away. My acceleration becoming key. This is where mine actually shined over the other guys. I had a lot of straight line, though I actually lacked a bit in braking and handling. Mostly the handling department, as I found out later. But I didn't really biff it into anything, just a couple offs. As Alex and Husky get really close and a little bit of a tag from Husky and both of them go sideways. Alex in the Porsche comes out okay, a little bit of aero damage, and Husky actually gets the worst of it with some engine damage. How that works when both engines are hitting, I have no idea. But they get back and attempt to have a good race again, though that engine damage on Husky is not going to do him any good. So, it really does just become who can outrun each other first. As you can tell, Husky is taking a bit of damage. Back up front, and the muscle cars were still arguing. There really was no end to this for a while. They keep going round and round and round and round and round, arguing. They change positions occasionally, though it was more or less the Charger waiting for the Firebird to make a mistake, and the Firebird hoping he could hold off the Charger, which is, I actually have to say, a pretty good race. Sometimes patience is key. As you will see here, patience was the key. But we come onto the front straight, or the front straight, back straight. The Firebird actually does pull a bit of a gap on the Charger as he has more straight line speed, though the Charger is pretty darn good in the corners from what we could tell. What I could tell, at least when I was trying to chase him. Anyways, down to the bus stop, everything as per normal. Charger makes up a bit of the gap as the Firebird goes a bit wide, and along with the Charger, they start the 2 wide at the top of the hill into the last corner, though end up going single file with a little bit of a bump in the Firebird, coming out a little worse as he clips the end of a curb and rolls it. Charger slows down to be a good person to let him get back on his wheels and see if he's okay. Meanwhile, behind the Charger, whoops, didn't mean to leave that in there. Little reverse as I was trying to catch this point here. I come around with the Testarossa, who goes way wide and somehow manages to save it. Pardon me, allergies. And I come flying past both of them, going, ooh. But as we come to the first corner, you notice the Charger's back in the pack. He wasn't going to give up that easy, and I really wasn't going to slow down because I had a Testarossa on my tail, and I wasn't that fast in a straight line compared to it. So as we come to the S's, Testarosa's holding up the Charger nicely. I clip a little bit of curb, and I just try and power through it. By this point, my tires are heated up, and the car is feeling good. Still trying to kill me on the exit of the corner, as you can see, just going a little sideways over the curb. really wasn't that bad, didn't lose really much time. I always have a little opposite walk issues coming out of corners, just my driving style. But into the first 90, good drive out of there for me. Into the next corner, Testarossa manages to defend with a funky line. And into the corners on the straight, the Charger gets the better run on the Testarossa. I get a pretty good run out, though the Testarossa's acceleration and speed just can't beat that, especially when it's geared slightly better, I think, where it's just that bit lighter so it has more acceleration. Hard telling. But anyways, I'm trying to pull away from him. He's catching up to me and pulls a gap on the Charger. Into the bus stop, I walk the brakes up a little bit, come around, I'm doing alright, get it good, catch a little too much curb, but I keep going. Not a bad drive out of that corner into the next one. Into the fast right-hander onto the front straight. And the Charger somehow manages to miraculously pass the Testarossa in that. And back a little further back with the big Maserati. He's, well, having issues. Not really much I can say here. Just, it was a big beast and seemed just a wee bit leery for this track, even in A-Class. I know I've driven that one, I just can't remember which one it is. Because I know it's not the GTS or something, but he gets it way up on two wheels there, but keeps it on all fours in the end as the Porsche starts to try and scamper around him. Though around the outside in these corners, I do not recommend, as the Maserati actually manages to keep the Porsche at bay, barely, as they come on to the back straight. And now the Porsche gets a real good drive out of that with a cutback and gets the pass down the straightaway just near the top of this first hill. A little further back, and the poor yellow Maserati is just struggling. It's that engine damage didn't help. He seemed to be in pretty good nick otherwise, so kept driving and didn't pit, as he just continues to putter around the track, trying to find that next fight. Though eventually does find it with the other Maserati, as you can tell, the Firebird just up there, though never really close enough to anything. Even further back, our friend the Alpha, having a little bit of trouble into turn 1, and, well, this was inevitable again. He clips the curb just too much and skid rolls it, and park. I have to tap the brakes a little bit to make sure I don't run into him, because I'm coming around that corner and I goof up my line a little bit due to it. And with that, the Charger actually managed to slip past me and turns down into me chasing a Charger. Some big American car versus some short wheelbase, equally wide British car. This is, well, I wouldn't say insane, just a little nuts as we come into the corners before the back straight. He definitely has me in the braking and handling department, though not by much, as I managed to keep up with him. Try and get a cut back here, but he just gets a better drive out of the corner. I slide in behind Slipstream and follow him up the hill. As we come up the hill, though, this is where my car starts to have an advantage. I don't have aero. My car is not restricted as much. Yes, that little wing does put a little downforce on it, but not enough to really be useful. As at the top of the downhill section, I shoot out around him and try and do an out-braking contest, which we're fairly equal at. I managed to get the inside for both corners, though promptly goof it up because I had to take a goofy line into the first one, and the Charger slides back past. And I really just wanted to catch that guy and win. I really was looking for a win because this was a really good race and I wanted to see how far I could push it. Further up, and not much had changed really. I was chasing down the Charger as the lap before I'd actually managed to catch him. The Alpha's scooted itself a little farther down, still in a bit of a danger zone, but a little better position so I can come flying through. Or we could. We got big cars. Well, wide cars. American steel versus British plastic, I swear. This thing is light. But we come down towards the back straight. I pulled back a gap for a little bit, but it's really not much. I'm making mistakes since I'm trying to push so hard. And we come onto the back straight. I goof up, run just that little bit wide. I have to do that little bit of a lock where I didn't need it on the curb. Lost some traction in time. But I do manage to reel some of it back in on the straight. Catch the tail end of that guy. Tail end of the Charger slipstream and just start to reel him in. May not be much, but that little bit of slipstream really does help. As we come down towards the bus stop, I have made up a pretty good portion of it, though I know I'm nowhere near for a dive. Try and just tuck in behind him, get a little too close for my comfort, but then run just that a little bit wide and have to start all over again. We will end up finishing in this order. Because at this point, I just could not catch him. He was really that much faster. Which is pretty good, but I can't say it was a good race. Further back, and, well, more arguments are being made during this last lap. Testarossa is trying to chase down Alex in his Porsche, and the big Maserati is trying to chase down the Testarossa. First corner, Testarossa is a little slidey, no, well, I wouldn't say not quite as much as the big one. But through the S's, all of them cut the corner, which I really hate, but hey, at this point we weren't having clean laps. We were just trying to run, get a good race out of it. Alex pulls out a good lead. Testarossa goes rally crossing and lets the Maserati pass. Though that's promptly undone once they get to a good straightaway, and the Testarossa just shoots by, like the Maserati standing not quite still, but you get my point. Has really good power through there. Alex has got just enough of a lead at this point since those two are starting to battle. And as we come around onto the straight, Alex has a very good lead. Testarossa has the Maserati pretty close, though just manages to start pulling away. That white car, even though it has some aero on it, that thing's just bloody quick. Doesn't matter what you do, just goes quick. Though as we come to the top of the hill on the downhill section before the bus stop, it turns evident that he's pushing a little hard. Tries for a big dive and it just doesn't pay off. I think he outbraked himself and just chucked it into the sand to try and not hit Alex. Though the other Maserati slips past and they end up finishing third the Porsche, fourth the Maserati, fifth the Testarossa, then the yellow Maserati there. At the back we have, well, the broken parade. The Firebird finishes 7th while the poor Alpha gets 8th with the DNF, sadly. But anyways, he at least does help him over after a little goof with the AI. What can you say? When you're not doing that well, we'll just have a little fun. Pushes him over and then backs up to try and give him some room to get out of there and see if they can get moving. But anyways, that was the race. I have to thank you guys for watching OverThought Gaming on this. And I will say I do have some more stuff planned, though it might start turning into a bit more random again. Or not at all, just sort of sporadic video. Excuse me. Just, I have work stuff coming up. Getting moved over to a new queue and getting kicked back onto full-time after a little stint on part. But that's for another video. That's sort of the gist of it. So I'm going to see what happens, and English fail. We will go from there. Anyways, thanks for watching OverThought Gaming. Have a good one, and see you later.